Break the board sports. It's your boy RJ Cash Cole. Click that like, hit subscribe. Here we go. 8s versus 9s. Here we go with the betting breakdown on them. Again, go to breaktheboardsports.com. You get every play for March Madness, along with NHL, NBA, and the start of baseball. 30 days, $64.99. If we're not up a minimum 7 units and over 500, got to have both, right? Can't be like 8 games over 500 and give you like a 20-unit play just to save face. Got to have both. If we don't do that, you get the next 3 months for free, which will take you through the MLB All-Star break, NHL, and NBA. So let's hop right into it. We actually got an 8 versus 9 game that gets the tournament started off Thursday. We got number 9 TCU against number 8 Ohio State. Now, Ohio State laying 2.5. 146.5 is our total. 56% of the ticket count, 43% of the handle says go over. 44% of the ticket count, 57% of the handle to the under. Now, when you look at the sides, 57% of the tickets, 41% of the handle, laying 2.5 with the Buckeyes, 43% of the ticket count, 59% of the handle says take TCU here plus the points. Now, TCU Horned Frogs 22-11, but more important, they've won 9 of their last 11. This team's been on fire. Jamie Dixon's crew, they're 18-15 ATS. Now the Buckeyes 21-12 straight up, 17-15-1 against the spread. Here are the Buckeyes. And when you look at this game and kind of break down, kind of dive into it, what you really see here is really a contrast in styles. Really a contrast in styles. Now, I love TCU's defense. Jamie Dixon, always big on the defensive end of the floor. Now, Bruce Thornton, the Buckeyes' all-time leading scorer, finally gets a chance to play in March Madness. So very, very cool for him. And like I said, TCU's won 9 of their last 11 after starting 13-9. They're one of the top 5 defenses in the country in that stretch. And they've just taken better care of the basketball. So this is going to be a huge test for Ohio State in that regard. Now, TCU averaging 77.9 points per game. Ohio State just a little bit better, 80.4. Now, when you look defensively, talked about where TCU was and where they are now. They're giving up 71.8 points per game, as Ohio State giving up 73.1. So again, as we say, it's really hard to find an edge in these tournament games. Bookmakers, they really squeeze you here on it. Now, in the last 7 games, TCU 6-1 straight up. Their only loss to Kansas in the Big 12 tournament. 5-2 ATS their last 7. And when TCU's had to match up against the Big 10, they're 5-1 ATS over their last 6 games versus the Big 10. TCU's also did very well in the role of the dog. They're 8-3 against the spread their last 11. Now, in their last 5 games, Ohio State on the flip side, 4-1 straight up, 5-0 ATS. They're 5-1 straight up versus the Big 12 Conference. And in the role of the favorite, Ohio State has won 8 straight games. So again, this really is going to be a coin flip type of game. When I look at the handicap, I was hoping this would go to 3 because I was like, all right, at 3, I'm in on TCU. I'll take the 3 with them, but it just hasn't shown itself yet. So I think this is one of those games you're going to look at and be like, okay, in-game's the way to go the longer this thing kind of goes on. Now, again, if a 3 presents itself, I think that's the way you're going to go. If you like Ohio State, because the line's at 2.5, and this – I mean, I say this, but every game could be. This could very easily, when we're all said and done, this could be a 2 or 3 point game. If you really like the Buckeyes, don't be cheap here. Lay the $1.42. You don't want to be regretting that decision later on. Next game on the board, click that like, hit subscribe. Another 8-9 here on Thursday. You got St. Louis, the 9 seed, versus Georgia, the 8 seed. Georgia laying 2.5, 169.5 is the total. 63% of the ticket count, 61% of the handle going to the under. 37% ticket count, 39% of the handle going to the over. Now, the sides, ticket count 50-50, money is not. 72% of the money is on the Georgia Bulldogs. 28% of the money here is on St. Louis. Now, the Billikens, 28-5 on the year. Georgia, 22-10, but there's a problem with the Billikens. They just found ways to really fall off the face of the earth towards the end of the year. They still finished with the 5th best scoring offense in college basketball, 90.1 points per game. But right ahead of them, Georgia, 90.2 points per game. So these teams can fill it up. Again, that total setting at 169.5. I like the over here. I don't think you're going to see a lot of defense. Now, St. Louis does hold opponents 68.1. Georgia holds opponents to 78.4 points per game. When you look at just overall neutral site, both of these teams 2-2. St. Louis 7-3 on the road. Georgia 6-4 on the road. St. Louis finished their last 20 games 16-4, but they have never fared well against SEC opponents. St. Louis is 1-7 straight up their last 8 games versus the SEC. Now, they're 1-5 ATS their last 6 games. Now, we talk about that over 169.5. I'm kind of bucking the trend system here a little bit. Now, St. Louis has played to the under 5 of their last 7, and 4 of their last 5 as a dog have went under the total. Georgia's played to the over 6 of their last 8, 4 of their last 5 in the month of March. But when Georgia plays Atlantic 10 teams, which St. Louis comes out of the A10, Georgia has played to the under 9 of their last 12. Now, Georgia, they kind of stumbled their toe too. Like, came out beginning of the year on fire. The deeper they got into SEC play, you just realize, hey, they're not as good as Florida, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Tennessee. You know, they're middle of the pack there. But they did finish 5-2, both straight up and ATS over their last 7 games. Here's the other thing. When Georgia's in the role of the favorite, they are 17-3. Now, again, I don't like messing with a lot of points, laying points in March Madness. These games are so tough. I want to get points as much as humanly possible for these games. With that being said, you can get Georgia minus 160 on the money line. I will be putting a play on that. I like Georgia minus 160. I think they get by St. Louis. St. Louis has not been playing good basketball for a very, very long stretch here. And I think that is going to show itself, and just they have just not been playing well. Next game on the board, number 9 Utah State against number 8 Villanova. Now, Utah State was a 2.5-point favorite yesterday. Woke up this morning, they're a 1.5-point favorite. Again, 53% of the ticket count, 56% of the handle. Villanova, 47% of ticket count, 44% of the handle. Now, that total, 147.5. Ticket count 50-50, money is not. 65% of the handle going to the under 147.5, 35% of the handle going to the over in this game. Now, when you dive into the handicap of this one, Utah State 28-6, 15-18 ATS out of the Mountain West. Villanova in the Big East 24-8, 19-13 against the spread. Now, I say 1.5. That's over there at DraftKings. Now, there is a couple of 2s that are left with Villanova, and I want to get to that in just a second because it's really, really important there. So, Villanova, again, or Utah State, at Caesars, it's 2, FanDuel 2.5, MGM 1.5, DraftKings 1.5. So, kind of a little mix all over the place here. Now, Utah State has the 28th best scoring offense in the country, 84 points per game. That dwarfs Villanova by about 6.5 points a game. Villanova averaging 77.7. So a huge advantage there. Now, Villanova gives up 70 a game. Utah State 69 a game. So Utah State statistically about a 7-point advantage, and you can get them 1.5 here. Now, Utah State 5-1 their last 6, but in the role of the favorite, Utah State is 6-12 ATS over their last 18. The over is cashed for them 8 of their last 12 games. Villanova's played to the over 14 of their last 19. Villanova in the role of the dog just 1-4 straight up their last 5. But Villanova has been tough. Their last 12 games, they're 9-3 straight up, despite being 2-5 against the spread. When I look at this game, I like Villanova plus 2.5. Now, listen, I know statistically Utah State's better from the stats, and typically I'll follow that a lot. I'll follow the statistical better team and ride that. But Villanova catching 2.5, playing a better conference, better players. Utah State, though they got right come the Mountain West tournament, I felt like they really struggled all year after that explosion in the first half of the year. I like Villanova here catching the points. That's who I'll ride with. Last game on the board again. Click that like, hit subscribe. Go to breaktheboardsports.com. Number 9, Iowa against number 8, Clemson. I think this is one of the toughest games to call, to be honest with you. Iowa, 2.5-point favored. 129.5 is the total. 56% of the ticket count, 72% of the handle going under. 44% ticket count, 28% of the handle going to the over. Iowa getting 56% of tickets, 75% of the handle. 44% of ticket count, 25% of the handle going to Clemson in this one. Now, Iowa out of the Big Ten, 21-12, 18-15 ATS. Clemson out of the ACC, 24-10, 16-16-2 against the spread for them. Again, 2.5 at FanDuel, 2.5 MGM, 2.5 DraftKings, but Caesars has posted a 2. Iowa averaging 76 points per game. Clemson averaging 74.5. Iowa, 12th best scoring defense in the country, 65.1. Clemson right there behind them, 17th best, 65.6. So these two defenses, very, very tough. That total 129.5. I tend to lean slightly under. I don't want to get too excited about it, but slightly under in that one. Now, Iowa, when you look at this, in their last 5 games, they're just 1-4, both straight up and ATS, but they're 6-1 straight up their last 7 versus the ACC. Also, Iowa wins the games they should. What I mean by that is in their last 20 games as a favorite, they are 16-4 straight up. Clemson, on the other hand, 4-2 straight up their last 6, 5-2 ATS their last 7 versus the Big Ten Conference. When they're a dog, though, Clemson just 1-5 straight up their last 6 as a dog, 1-4 ATS over their last 5 games overall. Again, I think this is another one, not to beat a dead horse. I think this is a great game for in-game betting. If one of these teams gets up 8 or 9 points, you can get one of them plus 4.5, plus 5. I think that's good value to get you to the window. For the 8-9s, my favorite 8-9 game is I like Villanova plus 2.5 here. Either them or Georgia on the money line. I think both of those are able to get home. But these 8-9 games are tough. In-game betting for the 8, 9, 7, 10s are really, really good way to go. RJ Cash Cole, Break the Board Sports, giving you stats, trends, information to help you with your handicap. Whether you guys fade or follow, hope you win your bets. God bless and happy handicapping.